estate, invest in location. And right now, one of the best locations to be in Nigeria is Ogun State, simply because of the way development is going, simply because of the fact that Lagos, that has driven the performance of the country for so long, has almost reached bursting capacity. And there's only one way to go. There's only one state that's the gateway, and that's Ogun State. So you have fantastic opportunities, and I'm sure that the experts on real estate will be telling you about the long-term opportunities that exist along the various development corridors in Ogun State. So once again, I'd like to wish you very successful deliberations, and thank you for your attention. God bless you.
Please, you can do better. That was the keynote address by our very own Diocesan advisor on investment, person of Mr. Femi, who is also the managing director of Frontier Capital Limited. Thank you very much for that brief address. Right about now, we are moving forward. As we go into the presentations, please, at this point, I would like you to bring out your pen and your papers as you're going to be taking out your points. And if you're going to be having questions at the end of these presentations, we would like you to come up with your questions, as our presenters will ably respond to these questions. Ohun tí à ń sọ láti àárọ̀ náà ni wípé à ń kọ́ wa lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ nípa ìdókòwò àti nípa ọrọ̀ ajé, bí a ti lè mú nǹkan pọ̀ mọ́ra wọn tó lè dówó fún wa, àwọn nǹkan tá a lè ṣe bí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀, bí àwọn nǹkan kéréje tó Ọlọ́run lè fi ìbùkún lé lórí láti di ńlá fún wa, gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ tí mọ̀ pé torí àwọn ọmọ àti nítorí ọjọ́ ọ̀la náà ni a ṣe ń ṣe gbogbo èyí. Nítorí ìdí èyí, gbogbo àwọn ìyá wa, àwọn bàbá wa, àwọn tá a bá ní ìbéèrè kan tàbí òmíràn, ẹ jẹ́ ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ìgbáradì. Right now, together please, I'm going to be inviting our presenters upstage. And then the first on my list is none other than our very own revered Chief Shino Luoye. Please a round of applause as they come up here to take his seat. Chief Shino Luoye is the Chairman CEO of EcoGas Energy Resource Limited. He has the branches all over places in Ogun State and in Rivers State. You are most welcome, sir. Next on my list is Mr. Abel Sholanke. Mr. Abel Sholanke, who is the German CEO of Adela Farms. He is a chartered accountant. And then the last from with the Ogun State Estate and Planning. You are most welcome. Please say real estate development. And then to anchor this session, we want to make it brief and impact at the same time as possible so that we don't bore us and take much of our time, is my other co-host, my colleague, brother and friend. Please make welcome with me, Benga Ajayi. Thank you.
Standing on the existing protocol, we actually at the time where we need to, firstly, to get more insight or in-depth information as regards some sectors for investment. Secondly, for us to listen to our distinguished speakers at this time to channel a part of investment for ourselves, either in the oil and gas, either in the agricultural sector, or either in the lands, estates, and properties. And also, most importantly, the third time, for the third assignment we have is actually to encourage our young minds in these sectors, our young minds into small-scale businesses that are looking up to people like our fathers here on stage for a time they can also be called or reckoned with as an authority in that field. Permit me to appreciate our speakers once again for finding time to be here on behalf of the Diocesan, and that our father, Chief Shino Lowe. He will be talking more on the oil and gas sector and the journey thus far. Please celebrate with me, Chief Shino Lowe at this time.
My Lord Bishop, sir, my Lord Bishop, Chair Bishop, okay, and my father, the Aro of Egba, Chief Kofele, distinguished Letora, many of you who are here today have seen many faces, my sisters, my brothers, you are welcome to this distinguished occasion. I really want to thank my Lord Bishop for putting this together. I'm thinking about my Lord Bishop starting course there. The only thing that will take you, I believe that this seminar is not just for us as individuals, it's also for the church. Because and of course we just came out of COVID 2 years ago, things are not what it used to be. As individuals, as organizations, we must continually reinvent ourselves in responding to the changes in the society. When I was in my MBA in Unilag, we did a research on churches, missionaries. And our survey focused more or less on the youth. And what are the trends that we see? In 10, 20 years time, and that was about 10 years ago then, the attitude of the children that we are having to missionary work, to giving is totally different from what I or the generation of Chief Kuvole led. He was sure to go back to his church to take care of his fathers. I doubt if his children will have the same philosophy about the church he attended or is attending. Therefore, the church must reinvent itself from relying on the traditional source of income like tithes, donations, thanksgiving. Events have shown that that cannot sustain any work. And there is no church now that you want to do fundraising again. I remember at Egba recently, we had to raise some funds. And when we sat down and did critical analysis, we found out that doing fundraising, we may end up spending more money than the money we are going to raise. So we have to look for an ingenious means of achieving our objectives. Talking about oil and gas, first of all, I want to talk to us as individuals. No matter the venture, what my brother Edwin have said, and what my brothers are going to teach you today, there are three things that are very centrifugal to you being a successful entrepreneur. The first one is that you are not ready for business. You must have a strong conviction, no matter the odds. If Shikubele tells you what he went through, he probably won't be here today. If I tell you what I went through to set up my business, I probably won't be here today. I remember the first business I wanted to start on 20 years ago. I was still in service. But why did I decide to go into business? When I was working in a company that I earned millions per month. But I know that was just a comfort zone. That is not where I belong in. I need to reinvent. So whatever you are earning, whether your salary is low or your salary is high, I tell you, I work for Shell. Do you know what you find out? when people retire, even people earning 2 million, 3 million naira per month, they die within 3 years of retirement. You wonder why? Because they didn't plan the future. But you see, the drivers, the artisans that work in many organizations, they live very long. Why? Because the drivers, the welders, those artisans, they have a job that can carry them through lifetime. Some of the presentations we have learned today, they are good when you are up there. You want to invest in stock. Stock Cadbury. Therefore, whatever your situation, there is something you can do and you can grow on it. Now I go straight to the oil and gas. What is oil and gas? Let me quickly go into it. Say 15 minutes. I doubt if that will be enough. It's a business of exploration, that is knowing where oil and gas are, the production of it, the processing of it into various components, various energy sources, the transportation of it, either by vessels, by ship, inland, upland, then distribution and sales of sources of energy. So whether you are selling kerosene, you are in oil and gas. Whether you are selling LPG by the roadside in a small corner, you are in oil and gas. However, the oil and gas is not limited to that. You can move to the next something we can read is services, it includes services and goods directly and exclusively applied to the oil and gas. What do I mean? You can be a welder and still operate in oil and gas. Hello? Is somebody listening? You can be a welder and still be an oil and gas man. Only there are certifications that are required. Let me give you an example. I have a cousin or a nephew. He had HND in accounting. He wanted to be like me. And I told him times is changing. When we were young and we read accountancy, it was very attractive. And you can be anything in the world. But the way the world is going now, don't think as we have many accountants here, it's the same thing today. Today things have changed. There was an oil and gas welding profession that River State was sponsoring 10 years ago for 8 million naira per person. I said, my brother, come and join this. He refused. Said he wanted to be oil and gas. My uncle find job for me. That guy is still doing a job less than 80,000 naira. Those guys that were trained in welding, then none of them is in Nigeria. They are in Qatar and many places all over the world, nothing less than $25,000 a month. Therefore, no matter what, even at a welder, you have a job. Ecogas is mostly into welding. And most of the guys that are doing welding for us in Obantoko, they came from Aba. We don't have people who have the expertise in Abeokuta. And they earn a lot of money. Believe me. Anchors, you see many of the trailers you see on the road, they are fabricated where? In Port Harcourt, in Aba. Why can't you do it in Abeokuta? Why? So there are jobs you can do. Are you a nurse? Yes. You can train yourself to have good certification and you find a place in the oil industry. The good thing about the oil industry is that they take only the best. There is no shortcut. If you see anybody telling you they are giving you work in oil and gas, it's not possible. For oil and gas company, they make sure you have the certificate. You have your first degree, you must be second class upper. You have your HND, you must be upper credit. So right from the beginning, as a young man, you must prepare yourself that you have to be the best in whatever you are doing. You must have passion for whatever you are doing. But I tell you one thing, don't focus on oil and gas, because there are many industries that are also giving money. I give you another company, this cable company in Shagamu. Most of their jobs are for oil and gas, because they produce to the best quality in the world. But they would not have been there without being the best Oil and gas is very capital intensive, technology driven, and a lot of intellectual properties in oil and gas, divided into upstream, downstream, and the midstream. The upstream is those people doing exploration and production. The downstream are those who are refining products or LNG, producing chemicals and additives, while the downstream are the filling stations, the gas plants, and all those things that you see. Then, it supports a lot of employment. That's why it's so important in the world. It's highly regulated. Like I tell you, for you to operate in the oil and gas, you must have very strong competencies. You must be very skilled in whatever you are doing, because it is highly regulated. Why? Because it's an explosive material. It's a combustible material. All the processes of handling it, it has to be top-notch. So governments, the industry, and everybody is interested. Even for having cylinders, by selling on the roadside, you must have the adequate training to be able to sell by the roadside. Because these are even licensed, those operations are even licensed by DPR. And of course, the industry, the LPG Dealers Association, they also regulate and ensure you have adequate training before you can be a seller in that industry. Next slide. Next slide, I've mentioned this. And I must also tell you that HSE management systems is also a key spend in the oil industry, accounting for almost 8% of expenditure in any oil and gas operation. So if you read environmental studies, you read any studies that any engineering, if you don't want to go into the mainstream engineering like mechanical and electrical, or like all other disciplines in engineering, you can also be an HSCS expert. Now, how to exploit the opportunities in oil and gas? Like I've mentioned, you must be determined to have the best competencies. Either you own it or you acquire it. Why do they say own or acquired? For example, the Church of Nigeria might decide to say we are going to invest in oil and gas. They probably don't have the expertise, but there are so many agreements that can be in place for you to still have it. The next, like giving it out to people who can operate it. For example, we have Obi filling station there. It's not owned by the church, it's owned by somebody, but he's making the investment and the church will be earning her own money from there. The second one is that your resources, they are very important. The critical people, very critical, is the acronym we call people, power, and possibilities. What are the people? Those are the staff you have. They are very critical to operation. Even if you are selling by the roadside, you are not going to be there every time. You need a boy to manage the shop for you. If you have a dishonest boy, forget it. You are done for. You are done for. I saw there was an experience of a woman very close to us who buy gas from us, and every time she would come and complain, the gas was not complete. One day she decided to sit down at the shop herself. They brought this first cylinder, she weighed, she noticed that the cylinder was in excess of 2 kg. She asked them to sell it. They finished selling it, there was still excess of about 5 kg. Brought out the second one, but these are the guys that were reporting shortages before. Brought out the second one, the same thing. What happened? She came to Eco Gas. What happened? You are overfilling my cylinders. We checked the records, we were giving him adequate, he was buying 50 kg. What has happened? The staff has colluded with my workers. They have sold excess. When she paid for 50 kg, they have sold 52 kg for them. They have pocketed the money. The boy will get to the woman's shop, sell 52 kg, and tell the woman that she has sold only 48 kg. So both ways, he has stolen from me, he has stolen from his oga. So people are very critical in the business. If you are going there, you must be ready to sit down yourself and do the business. Power, what do I mean by power? Money, money, money. You must have the right investment, adequate investment to go into it. So I'm talking small scale here. To even start a small scale one, you need 300 to 500,000 naira. But when you want to start, make sure you don't start touching your profits. It's not the one that you start the business today, tomorrow, you will fail because it's a compound interest like you have been taught. You must invest the money over and over again. You must make sure at every point in time you have 3 times the capacity of your working capital. For any business you are doing, even if you are a farmer, you can't say that all your chicks, I need 30 boilers and this is the money for 30 boilers. That is okay. You make profit, you spend it. It's more critical in oil and gas because for a truckload of AGO, you buy for 10 million naira today. You may go back to the market the following day, it's 12 million naira. If you are sold it for 12 million naira and you have spent 500,000 at party, you go back to the market, you are done for. Not so. Now, with people, with money, with resources, with your time, with your competencies, there are many possibilities for you in the industry. And of course, critical thinking. You must be able to do whatever business you want to go into. Please assess your SWOT, do your SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What is the opportunities? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? You must do this analysis very well. Plan your work very well. Sit down and do planning. Don't look at what your next neighbor is doing. Then your value proposition must be there. You must say, what are you giving to the market? Because everybody doing business, you must go to that market to offer something. If somebody is selling sugar beside you and you want to go and start selling sugar, what are you going to offer that is different from the man that was selling sugar before was giving to them? If you want to start your gas business or you want to dispense kerosene by the roadside, you must decide what are the things others are doing before that I want to do differently. When we started EcoGas, what was our value proposition? We will never shortchange anybody by 6 grams. And every gas plant of EcoGas, we make sure that we have the best equipment that cannot under-deliver for you. So if you want to do any business you want to do, there must be value that you are rendering to the people. How are you going to train your staff? What are the benefits you are going to pay? If other people are paying 10,000 naira and you want to pay your workers 8,000 naira and you think you are succeeding in business, no. They will start to cut corners. And of course, the time is short, I'm 3 minutes behind. Somebody has mentioned it in business, very critical. Number 1, location, location, and location again. I see very common in Abeokuta, every area. You see somebody selling provision. The next shop to him, to her, is selling provision. The third shop is selling provision. Why can't we be innovative and do something different? Check in a line, what are they doing? What can I do differently? Where can I be located? I'm just talking with Dr. Shekufele now. We want to set up a business, somebody want to buy a land somewhere, we went there to check for him. No, you can't set up in this area of Abeokuta or Bantoko area. Why? Because there is no power. If you set up a business around there that relies on power to drive that industry, you are going to fail. Not with diesel at 800 naira per liter. You cannot succeed. So therefore, it applies even at micro level. Even applies to a hairdresser. It applies to welder. You will see a big company, then you go and set up your business beside them. No. With just little adjustment in their price, they throw you out of markets. So therefore, there is always opportunity. The state is expanding. There are a lot of business areas you can invest. Even if you go to Kobakwe there are a lot of business opportunities you can do. You don't need to come to Onikolobo. And then, for the business as well, the business governance model, things you must do, things you must not do, and compliance with the law is very, very important. If not, you see local government coming today, urban planning will come tomorrow, you are not located, you didn't get approval, they start to disrupt your business. And before you know, today you are in Onikolobo, tomorrow you are looking for bishop to help you talk to urban planning, you are calling Shikufele to help you talk to these agencies or the other. That distracts you from the business. So whatever business you are doing, even if you have your trade association, if you are not interested in them, try to comply. There are values belonging to some of those trade associations. They train you, they protect you, they save you. They are very, very important. Check out what is going on. You want to do poultry, you must be a member of poultry association, because if there are developments, if there are things, you can learn from them. If there are events happening there, they can quickly tell you. These are very important. So thank you very much. I spent so much time, and I'm sure in question and answer session, there will be other areas that I have not touched, and I can answer them. Thank you very much.
Can we please put our hands together for Chief Onikolobo for that great insight. I have here quickly that success is not final, and failure is neither final. It is the courage to continue that counts. And that is actually very key from what our father, Chief Onikolobo, has expressed to us this afternoon. None is final. We have to keep going, we have to keep moving. And sincerely, that was great. Can we put our hands together again once more for him? Thank you very much for that insight. So quickly we would move to the next presentation at this time, and I would want to invite upstage Estate Surveyor Ronke Otunaya as she gives us insights on properties, investment, and real estate. Can we please put our hands together as we welcome Estate Surveyor Ronke Otunaya for the next presentation. Let's put those hands together for her, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I want to appreciate Almighty Father for His magnificent love over our diocese, for having this kind of a summit for the benefit of the individual and the church. I give all glory and adoration unto His name, and for giving all the grace to see for the 60th anniversary of our dear Egba diocese. Also, my appreciation go to Egba, the Bishop of the diocese, the Right Reverend Dr. Abeokuta, for this great opportunity given to me to stand before my daddy, my mommies, my sisters, my brothers, and to be able to have a privilege of this year business summit. I want to appreciate my Egba as well for her support to this diocese. Dr. O.O.M. Adekule, I appreciate you, ma, for the opportunity as well. I pray that if Jesus tarries, we will celebrate more of anniversary in Jesus' name. Kindly permit me to stand on existing protocol. My focus today is on real estate investment and development in the 21st century. Actually, the time given is so short, but notwithstanding, I should be able to touch the major part of it that has to do with the individual and the church as well. Introduction. Real estate is the economic of stock of buildings, the land on which the structures are sited and half vacant and undeveloped land. The building could be occupied as business offices, government offices, non-profit making organizations like churches, mosques, institute, workplace, and households. At creation, God created the Garden of Eden as the first real estate with strict instruction to Adam to continue to tender, manage, and live in it for a prosperous life. You can see that one in Genesis 2:8 to 16, where the land of Eden was given to our forefathers, that they should continue to live in it and dominate whatever that is there and make use of it for the survival of their own life. It is an enabler of economic activities for promotion of business activities without which an economy could not operate. Globally, allocation of inadmissible fund of real estate development is to ensure the reliable investment option. It is the world's biggest business, accounting for about 15% of the world global domestic product, with assets of about 70 trillion US dollar, compared with 45 trillion US dollar in equitables and shares. In Nigeria, the real estate sector is undoubtedly one of the most important sectors that available data from Bureau of Statistics reveals that despite the quantum situation of the economy, the real estate contributes about 2.78 trillion to the Nigeria income growth, with about 8% in Q4 of 2020, from a negative of 13.4% in Q3 of 2020. You can see the effect of real estate investment. This demonstrates the potential of real estate development in stimulating and advancing the prosperity of both individuals, corporate entities like churches, and non-profit making organizations. Real estate, what is real estate investment? Investment ordinarily correlates you can see what you are putting your money on. Even to inflation. When the economic inflation creates a negative impact on the value of other investment, investing in real estate is a fruitful option. It is only investment which results in value appraised in adverse situation. You can see what is happening in the country right now. Everybody is complaining, no money, no money. But people that have tangible property, real estate investment, that have invested their money, when they have it into real estate, they are smiling now because of the amount of money they are selling it. That's one of the reasons why real estate investment is one of the best. Allow use of leverage. The financial institutions are attracted toward funding for real estate because of its real and physical existence. As I've told you, it's tangible, something that you can see, something that you can touch. So the financial institution, they always want something that they can see, so they can use them as a collateral. So they are even interested in investing in real estate properties. Uncertain maturity period. You cannot say this is time I want this my property to be mature. It's only when you invest in stock, in shares, or when you are doing they fixed deposit in the bank. They will tell you this is the maturity date. Without that maturity date, you cannot get your money. Or if you get that money before the maturity date, there is going to be a fine. But in real estate, there is nothing of such. You are the owner of that property. You are the one that will decide whether to hold the property or to sell it. Value enhancement. That one is, property enhancing value. It enhances your value. The money you invested today in a property is of a greater return tomorrow for you. When you talk about time value of money, so it enhances value. Investing in property can provide more benefit to the investor. On the other hand, real estate generates rental income, and on the other hand, its value keeps on increasing in the long run. You are using your property as a rented property, as a rented apartment. You are collecting your rent yearly. At the end of the day, you can decide to sell such property. Yes, you are still having your money. That's why we say it's a value enhancement investment, low liquidity. One of the essential features of real estate is that it's a capital asset. Therefore, it cannot be frequently bought or sold like stock or equity. Because you can sell your property, you must get as a willing seller, then you must get a willing buyer. The two of you has to meet at the market to negotiate and decide on how the transaction should go. The universal acceptable as collateral. We all know that. We want to go and borrow money in a mortgage bank or commercial institution. What they requested from you is, do you have a landed property? Do you have the seal of to that property? Do you have anything that can show us your interest in that property? So it's a universal acceptable as a collateral. Profitable even during recession, as I've said before. It's profitable even during recession because you just sit down at home, selling your property, and you'll be handing your money. And that money will be used for something very important as well. Benefits of investing in real estate. As I've told you, it has a hedge against inflation. Rent pays off for mortgage. If you are on a mortgage loan, you have your property, it's on a rental apartment, give it out to people, let them be paying down your money, your rent, your yearly rent. Then you'll be using that to service the loan. Then stable income. You already know in the next year, the property that I let out or that I lease out, I'm going to have this amount of money. So your income on it is very, very stable. Value appreciation, I've said before, it gives value to whatever the amount you invest on it, it gives value on it. Self-decision making, as I've said before, you are the one to take decision on your property because you are the boss. You are the boss of your own property. What are the factors to consider in real estate investment? Before you can invest in real estate investment, before you can have a good return on your investment, there are some key important things that must be put into place. As church, as individual. The first thing is location. When my daddy was talking the other time, he was talking about the oil and gas. He said location, 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 which is a very paramount key. A very paramount factor in property, in real estate investment. The location of your property, attract whoever that wants to get it. And that location is an added value to that property on its own. The target market. Before you invest on the property, on the real estate, who did you want to target? The low income, the middle income, the higher income, who did you want to target in this market? Whatever the people you want to target, but now it's one of the things you must put at the back of your mind. Because if you are targeting a low income like a civil servant and you are building a house, you invested in a real estate, you are selling for 30 million, 40 million, can a civil servant have such kind of a property? No. So the target market you must consider it for very, very essential. Security and safety. When you want to locate it, I'll talk about location, which is one of the most important one in investing in real estate. The factor that you must consider, security and safety. Everybody knows what is happening now in the country. On safety, environment, a lot of things is happening. So security and safety of the end user of that property must be put into place. So that you'll be able to catch the mind of the people you are targeting. Neighborhood, you consider the neighborhood a very serene environment is one of the major factors that attack end users of investment in real estate. When you build a property, you are not considering the neighborhood. You want to build a property, let's say you are building a property, a commercial property, you now go and site it, let's say you site that property in Bodiolude, a commercial property, a unit of storage of an office. You now started that property, such a property in Bodiolude. Can you see? You cannot achieve what you want to achieve. Reason why real estate is the best investment. The reason why real estate is the best investment. Store of value. Number one is store of value. Real estate is one of the safest investments one can make because the value of property really go down, and even then it's only for a short period of time. It's store your value. Your value is being stored. Your money is being stored there. Anytime you need your money, you can flip it and you have your money. Natural appreciation. Naturally, it will appreciate. In as much as you have a very good location for your property, in as much as you've already done all those factors that you have to consider, definitely, naturally, that kind of investment, we have a natural appreciation of value. Easily transferable to kids. You can transfer it to your kids without any stress. Just a matter of prepare whatever you want to prepare. You can put it in your will. This property is transferred to this, is transferred to this, and clearly taking it anywhere as a legal entity, it is recognized. Fairly easy to liquidate. In as much as property is in good location, it may not take a longer period or time to locate a buyer. As I've said, location very, very crucial. When you have it in a good location, you want to flip that kind of a property. Within a tinkle of time, you have a buyer for such a property. Being a tangible asset, as I've told you earlier, is a tangible asset that you can see, you can touch, and you can feel. Other people pay for your investment. Fine, yes. Because when you have a rental property, you invest your money in a rental property. When you have it, people are going to you rent it out to people. People will be paying your money, and you'll be using that money to do what? To service a loan or keep it and use it for other investment. How to invest in real estate for economic benefits? One, property flip. This means buying of land and reselling quickly for a profit. This is one of the smartest investments and it's quite little or no efforts. It basically involves your money as well as in-depth knowledge of land ownership. And the buying and selling process, it involves having a substantial amount of money. However, if you want to make hundreds of millions, but you can start small by buying one plot and grow to buy 10 plots and acre of land and keep selling all year round. In favor of the nature of property, the selling price at a later date will allow for maximum profit to such investment. What are we saying there? You buy a land, you buy a property. When you buy that kind of a property, you have already invested your money. Then you can, the property might not be in a very good condition. You remodel it. You remodel it, you reshape it, you make it to look more attractive. Then later, you can flip as in you can sell it to interested buyer. And that value, no matter the amount of money that you spend on it, you get more than it. It's a very simple game because of the good location that you've already cited for yourself. And because you have the people that you are targeting, you've already built around all those factors that I mentioned earlier. Real estate investment trust. This investing in the unit of a share of a company. There's also a company they call it work. You can invest in it. Their whole thing is they are dealing with property, only property. You buy their shares, then you'll be having your dividend on it. You can invest your money. Even if you cannot have the money to buy property and resell it or remote it or whatever, you can invest in buying the shares of a company who deal directly on land or real estate. Investing in rental income property. Rental income property, when you invest in it, you can invest in it. This is the possibility to buy vacant land and lease such land to instead of outright sale. You may not sell it, you lease it out and you'll be collecting your money. In the same way, it is possible to buy land, develop it into housing unit or offices and let it to prompt yearly income, as I've said before. Then we have the real estate investment group. This is a form of real estate investment in which group of people pool resources together and invest in real estate. Like churches coming together, pool their resources together. Some church can have a land, while others will be having money. You have money, you don't have land. But others having land, they don't have money. Then the two of you can come together and be in a joint agreement. Then you decide on your MOU and how to share the profit at the end of the day. And the whole thing will be done. So since it is an association of people, they have pool of funds to invest in property, such as churches, cooperative society, foundation, and a group of individuals to do engage in this type of property investment. Recently, the city of David, arm of the Redeemed Children of God, is planning to develop about 25 tourist complexes in Lagos with the aim of using the rental income for charity purpose. We can come together. Ilugu Church, Civil Church, Anglican Church, Ilugu, we might have a land. Our cathedral is having the money. You know the pool of money is there. We can come together, bring ourselves together. Even the diocese as we are talking. The diocese can have the pool of money and the Civil Anglican Church Ilugu is having a lot of land. Not using for anything because we don't have the capacity financially. We can come together, put our resources together, and we'll be able to achieve our goal, our aim. And then we'll be able to pull ourselves out of the issue of this recession that we are in. In conclusion, in view of the various advantages of real estate investment over other forms of investment, individual and corporate establishment, I encourage to diversify their investment portfolio by investing in real estate development through buying, developing, and selling property for better return at lower risk. While other investment options look liquid, real estate investment is solid as a result of impressive capital appreciation over time. Comparatively, therefore, if the return on the other investments are likely to oranges, the rate of return on real estate investment could only be compared to half. Thank you all for listening.
Can we please put our hands together for the essence of your Ronke Odinaya? Please, let's jam those hands well. Thank you very much for your presentation. While the presentation was on, I was informed of the presence of our sponsor for this business summit, in presence of the chairman of S&J Holdings Foundation, by name Mr. Deji Shomoye. Can we please just appreciate him? Daddy, thank you so much for sponsoring us and for coming here. Would definitely get back at the right time. As we progress, I also got an information that our non-English listeners had actually sent in a report to say that we have to bring this down and carry everybody along. And I think it is quite imperative for us to do that. I want my sister to help me. My Yoruba is not so good. so that I will not break the back of the camel. Sister Lola Wolabi, can we please appreciate her? We want to just have a recap in Yoruba so that we can be on the same page. And I also want to please appeal that we put down our questions so that we could, after the third speaker, we could go into the questions and answers, then we move on to our next talk. Thank you.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Ẹ̀yin ìyá mi àti bàbá mi. Ẹ̀yin dà ṣẹ́ wà mí. Òyìnbó yẹn pọ̀ léètọ́ látàrọ̀. Máa gbìyànjú. Máa mú wálé díẹ̀. Eléyìí tí màmá wa ṣe bá wa sọ tán ní kókó. Wọ́n wá sọ fún wa nípa nǹkan tí olóyìnbó pè ní real estate. Nǹkan tó dẹ̀ wà nínú real estate kò ju káralẹ̀, kátàlẹ̀, káralé, kátàlé, kákọ́lé, kárílé mọ́lẹ̀, gbogbo tí wọ́n ń pè ní real estate nìyẹn. Màá wá ṣe ìyànnàná àwọn kókó ọ̀rọ̀ tí wọ́n sọ fún wa kí ó lè yé wa dáadáa. Nǹkan tí wọ́n sọ fún wa, wọ́n ń gbà wá níyànjú pé kò oríṣiríṣi ìdókòwò ló wà téèyàn lè ṣe. Bẹ́yìn bàbá àti ìyá wa náà dẹ̀ ṣe máa ń sọ, Yorùbá ní ilẹ̀ kìí ṣí, ilẹ̀ kìí ṣá. Èèyàn ò lè ralẹ̀ lénìí, tẹ́ bá rà ní 5 naira lénìí, tẹ́ bá máa tà lọ́la, kò wọ́pọ̀ kẹ́ ẹ tà níye 5 naira yẹn náà tẹ́ tún rà, ó máa ti lé sí àti gbówó lórí. Bó ṣe 1 naira ẹ máa rí lórí 5 naira tí ẹ rà tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ yẹn. Ó ní màmá wa ń gbà wá níyànjú pé nǹkan tó tún wá dá nípa real estate tá à ń sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ ni pé kì í ṣe nǹkan tó jẹ́ dandan kí n kọ́ estate gbọ́ọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣo. Ẹ lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ díẹ̀ díẹ̀. Ẹ lè ra plot lẹ́ẹ̀kan lénìí. Tó bá dọ̀la torí ọ̀fẹ́ tún wà, ẹ lè ra ìmí. Tó bá dẹ̀ di ọ̀túnla tẹ́ wo pé ó dàbí pé ibi tí mo bá ilẹ̀ rírà dé ó ṣe díẹ̀, jẹ́ kí n wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní kọ́. Ẹ lè pe bàbá Ṣẹ́gun, hello bàbá Ṣẹ́gun, mo fẹ́ já blọọkù 100, bàbá Ṣẹ́gun á wá jà. Tó bá di ọ̀túnla tó wo blọọkù 200 bá yọ, ẹ tún pe bàbá Ṣẹ́gun, wọ́n wá jà. Kẹ́ ẹ tó mọ̀, bàbá Ṣẹ́gun ti já blọọkù 2000, ẹ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣe foundation, àbí? Ẹ wá lè máa mú láti foundation yẹn, ẹ mú dé ojú fèrèsé. Láti ojú fèrèsé ẹ tún gbé adé ní tẹ̀ kẹ̀rẹ̀. Ó di nǹkan tẹ́yìn náà ní ṣọ́ọ̀bù nìyẹn. Ẹ lè ti kọ́ ṣọ́ọ̀bù 3, 4. Ẹ̀yin náà di landlord nìyẹn tí ẹ máa gba owó lọ́wọ́ tenant pé èmi ni mo ní ṣọ́ọ̀bù yẹn, tenant. Ẹ̀yin náà kọ́ lè ní mo fẹ́ fowó kólú owó lé àbí dá báyìí ní ibi tí owó yẹn dé. Ẹ di landlord nìyẹn tẹ́yìn náà máa gba owó ní ọwọ́ tenant. Wọ́n tún ní nǹkan kan wá wà ó tó ṣe pàtàkì ká tó pinnu pé mo fẹ́ ralẹ̀ àbí mo fẹ́ ra ilé. Wọ́n ní ibi tí ilẹ̀ tàbí ilé yẹn wà gangan ó ṣe pàtàkì, torí yẹn gan òun ló máa ń jẹ́ kókó nǹkan tí tó máa lè sọ bí àǹfààní ṣe tó lórí ilẹ̀ tàbí ilé yẹn ni wọ́n pè ní value property yẹn. Pé bí mo ṣe lè tètè rí tà sí àti bí mo ṣe lè rí tà lówó iyebíye sí, bí wọ́n ṣe máa ná sí, ìyẹn ni ibi tí ilẹ̀ tàbí ilé yẹn tó bá wà ó ṣe pàtàkì. Wọ́n ṣe àpèjúwe kan lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé kéèyàn fẹ́ kọ́ ọ́fíìsì lọ́yà, ó fẹ́ kọ́ ọ́fíìsì accountant, kó wá lọ kọ́ sí Bódé Olúdé, ó máa ṣòro díẹ̀. So wọ́n ní ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ ní lọ́kàn irú àwọn oníbàárà tí ẹ fẹ́, irú àwọn tẹ́ fẹ́ kó jẹ́ oníbàárà yìí. Tí bá fẹ́ kọ́, tó bá jẹ́ ṣọ́ọ̀bù mo fẹ́ kọ́, àwọn wo ni mo fẹ́ kó jẹ́ oníbàárà mi? Tó bá ti jẹ́ ẹni tó ń já ráìsì, tó ń já ẹ̀wà ni mo fẹ́ kó jẹ́ oníbàárà mi ó máa ṣòro tí bá lọ kọ́ ṣọ́ọ̀bù mi sí ẹ̀gbẹ́ FCMB ní òkè níwó ó máa ṣòro díẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n tí bá mú ṣọ́ọ̀bù yẹn tí mo kọ́ sí Ìjàyè àti mọ̀ pé ọjà mi máa tà mo máa réyàn tó máa gba ṣọ́ọ̀bù yẹn wọ́n ní irú àwọn nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn náà ló yẹ ká fi sí ọkàn wọ́n ní nǹkan tó tún dùn nípa káralẹ̀ ká talẹ̀ tàbí káralé o ní pé a lè fi lé ọmọ lọ́wọ́ ó ṣe é fi lé ọmọ lọ́wọ́ mo mọ̀ dájú pé àwọn míì máa wà nínú wa tó jẹ́ pé ajogúnlẹ̀ tàbí ajogúnlé lọ́wọ́ ọmọ bàbá àti ìyá wa so irú ẹ̀ táwa náà bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí a lè filẹ̀ fún ọmọ pé mo kọ́ ṣọ́ọ̀bù márùn-ún sí ibì kan mo fi fún Táyé ilé tó wà ní ibì kan ó jẹ́ ti Kẹ́hìndé àwọn orú nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ó dùn láti fi lé ọmọ lọ́wọ́ wọ́n dẹ̀ tún jẹ́ ká mọ̀ pé a lè fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ máa ṣe aláfọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ wọ́pọ̀ wá ní ìgbà tá a bá ṣe ìpàdé èké ni pé a lè tu owó jọ ká tu ipá àti agbára tí Ọlọ́run bá fún wa ká tu jọ a lè ra ilẹ̀ tí a máa kọ́ àbí tí a máa tún tà a máa ra ilẹ̀ lórúkọ owó wọlé lórí ẹ̀ àwọn nǹkan tí màmá wa bá wa sọ ní ṣókí nìyẹn tá a bá tún ṣe bá lọ́wọ́lọ́run ṣe fún wa ní oore ọ̀fẹ́ a máa gbìyànjú kó máa jẹ́ pé àwa àkọ́kọ́ máa wá ní asán àníwá lásán lórúkọ Jésù.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for breaking that down for us, Mrs. Lola Molabi. We want to quickly move to the next presentation, and I want to invite our father, Mr. Abeokuta. He is the chairman of Adila Farms, and he will be telling us or discussing with us on investment in the agricultural sector, how to improve, how to invest, and how best to go about it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me upstage Mr. Abeokuta, chairman Adila Farms.
Thank you very much, the moderator. The Diocesan Bishop and the chairman of this occasion, I'd like to stand on the existing protocol. The best thing that has happened to me was that I was born an Egba. And the next thing to it is that I've been an accountant. And maybe from my discussion here, you will see how these two things have actually changed my, impacted on my life and my experience. Introduction, I must thank our Lord Bishop and the organizers of this event for counting me worthy to come and share the stage with these eminent personalities. In the beginning, Genesis 1:28, the Bible says, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, according to King James Version. This is agriculture, but we do not give agriculture its pride of place in our country. Agriculture is seen as the job for the poor and uneducated rural dwellers. So also on investment. Ecclesiastes said, chapter 11:2 says, give a portion to 7 or even 8, for you do not know what misfortune may come on earth. Let us see the interpretation according to the New International Version. invest in certain ventures. Yes, it. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. And the next thing is why investment opportunity in agriculture. Agricultural potentials of our country is barely being tapped, especially in the southwest. And this explains the inability of our people to meet the ever-increasing demand for agricultural produce for human and animal consumption, agro-processing, and possibly for export. Although the agricultural sector remains a veritable employer of labor, it is an irony, if not a tragedy, that a country with arable land, heavy annual rainfall, and large army of young people will also suffer unemployment and high cost of food items, and in some cases, malnutrition. We need to change our mindset and open our eyes to see the huge opportunities that abound around us. God said, subdue the land. Which I see is to till the land. And according to Leslie Labadidi in her book titled Pardon Your Own Canoe, an American Woman's Passage to Nigeria, she wrote, if you till the land will feed you. And let me quickly share an experience. I was attending a meeting in Abuja as an advisor to some clients, and two Israelis were there. They were talking generally about our country. And one of them was telling the other that Nigerians don't see money flying in the air. And my compatriots that were at that meeting, they were looking like this. And the Israeli giggled to his friend, confirming what he just said, that we don't see our opportunities. The thing is that we are standing on wealth, but we don't see it. In this my presentation of investment opportunities in agriculture, for lack of time and space, I think I'm eating about half of my time. I have to be brief, and being so, this presentation should not be taken as a template for agricultural engagement or an investment guide. For these reasons, and for the fact now that I am just a cattle rearer. In fact, I forgot to introduce myself that I am just a cattle rearer. I will break my submission into two parts. Investment in agriculture, the first one will be investment in agriculture for employment, which is more relevant to the youth. And the second part will be for those who have funds to invest in agricultural activities for financial returns and posterity. And I emphasize the word posterity. Most of the things I will mention here are already known to us. Some are dear, but we don't see them as anything of value, while one or two may actually be unusual to us. I must add that these are just to stimulate ideas in us and make us think more critically and turn our potentials into reality. Because most of the time, we always talk about our potentials and potentials. When will they become reality? Now, investment in agriculture for employment. And one of the things I feel very proud of is the language of Yoruba. Yoruba language is complete, and there are so many words we say. If we reflect or look at either the idea or the interpretation, you see the full meaning and the weight of some of these things that we just say, we utter in our day-to-day conversation. One of it is iṣẹ́ ọmọ aláṣẹ jẹ, owó ọmọ aláṣẹ. You think about it. Most of our youth are looking for employment just to be on the payroll. Yes, if you believe in that, you carry on, you get by law, in life. But you need to do more than that. Look around, forget about those who made money in politics or maybe in government, or those they have used, contractors. But those who really have money, they are people who have traded, who have worked. Now let us look at what we can do as youth in agriculture. We can go into crop production to achieve food security and provide industrial materials. Potentials exist in the following: cereal, like maize, rice. Root crop is also there: cassava, yam, cocoyam, legume, soya beans, cowpeas. Vegetable: pepper, tomato, cabbage, carrot, lettuce, and so on. Even mushroom. I know most of our youth don't know what mushroom is, or they have never tasted it. But as a young boy, I remember in those days when my mother cooked, and she would, at times she would put mushroom in place of fish or meat. And in these days, the only place I've come across mushroom is in a Chinese restaurant. And when this South Africa, I think Shoprite, I've seen mushroom there. But those who know quality of mushroom, they value it. And mushroom is something we can raise at the back of our house. We can also talk about tree crops: oil palm, rubber, coconut, cola nut, coffee, bitter cola, cashew, sugarcane. These are things we can do to make income. Animal feed. Maybe because I'm in category area, I won't forget that. We can make hay. We can do silage and fodders. We can plant grass and even the seed. And that is why I've come with this. Some months back, I had to buy grass seed from Zaria. You won't believe it. A kilo of seed from Zaria is 6,000 naira. And I tell people, because some of these things may sound abstract, but this is what we can do to make money. And of course, there are more farmers who are coming up to raise cattle, and they need grass. There are people who also have stable of horses that need hay or silage to feed their animals. For example, this seed is across the border. I bought it from Port Novo. This seed is what they call alfalfa. This is half a kilo. I bought it 15,000. And I've come to show us that in most cases, we have neglected the opportunities that abound in our society. What about horticulture? Countries like Kenya, Zimbabwe, and most other countries in the East African coast, they live on freshly cut flour, which they export to Europe. Whereas in our country, aircraft come here fully loaded, and they leave empty. In Kenya, that is what they take back to Europe. When you get to Europe, you see freshly cut flour. It's from Kenya. If you look at it, the frequency, we are even closer to Europe than Kenya, than Zimbabwe. Flight from Zimbabwe cannot be less than 12 hours. Flight from Lagos to London is about 6 hours. You see that if anybody that goes into that, we have fresher flowers and so on, then our product can even become in greater demand. What of livestock, poultry, rabbits? We can generate income indirectly. We can generate direct income from these animals. We can also generate indirect income from them. Those who raise rabbit can generate income from rabbit urine. I'm sure some of us will be surprised, but there are people, some of the chemicals we import are the major ingredients are rabbit urine. And those who you can Google it, because most of these things are there. We have the opportunities, but we don't just look that way. What about cattle dung? In my farm, I sell shit, cattle dung. Initially, I told people to come and pack free, but they were asking me for transportation. Then I said, I won't do that. But it got to a point that some Hausas were coming to buy from me. And then it was then that later on that people started coming, approaching me. And I said, no, I won't give it free. I will sell it. So I sell cattle dung. And poultry dropping. Try to visit any poultry farm now and say that you want to carry poultry dropping. They won't give you. Now, in the north, where they take agriculture more seriously, poultry dropping is 15,000 naira a bag. You may not need to raise poultry, but you can go into the business of getting this poultry dropping, dry it, bag it, export it as it were to the north for sale. And then, of course, I've talked about cattle dung. And then fisheries. Majority of our people, they have gone into catfish farming and all the rest. Beekeeping and honey production. You can't believe it that we still import honey into this country. Whereas, what do we need to produce honey? In fact, you only go to the rural area and set up a colony, which you will be harvesting regularly. And you can also, go in add value. Don't try to sell your honey with all the impurities. Define it, package it, go through NAFDAC, and then that is a gold mine, sort of. We can do commodity trading. We can do transportation. You don't need to buy the latest model of any vehicle to do transportation in agriculture. Especially in the evening, we see so many negative vehicles transporting agricultural produce across the town. We can do tractor and farm equipment hiring. We can do exploitation of forest resources, processing timber, bamboo, and herbal plants. Look at the area of Nitopo. It is the harvest herbal plant from the forest. But some of us look down on this thing. They are veritable thing. A few months ago, my son told me that his daughter was having body rashes. They have tried so many things that didn't work, and he suggested that they will send some local agbo, which I did. Wife is from Asia, and then the wife started looking at us with more respect because she saw for the first time something that came out of Africa with magical effect. We can do that. Because of time, let me go into the second part, which is investment in agriculture for financial returns through posterity. Wọ́n ní tọ́mọdé bá ṣubú awòwájú, tí àgbà bá ṣubú awòyìn. The youth have the advantage. If they make mistakes, they have opportunity to correct their mistake. That is, if they make investment wrongly, well, they can go back. That's why they look ahead. But the elderly number should go away. So that is why we have to be careful when we want to invest in agriculture. We must be careful. And I will also mention some of the pitfalls that we need to be wary of. So those things, there are two ways to invest in agriculture if you have the money. You can go into direct investment, like food processing and packaging. Most of the things that is lacking in our produce is that we don't process them into finished or semi-finished product. We don't package them. When I was in it, I bought gari. In fact, they said, I saw it, gari Jibu, packaging Ghana. But when I got to the hostel, it was like sand. Whereas, if we are to really package gari, elubo, yam flour and all the rest, look at the number of our people in diaspora. Those who are in UK alone. Look at the sort of money we can make from exporting our food items to them. But we don't look at that. Those who are doing it now, they are doing it at micro level. They carry this produce in bags. Whereas whatever we want to import, we import in containers. Why should it be done? Why should it be so? We are not exporting our gari to the Europeans to eat. But we have large population of Nigerians who are ready to patronize our gari and other foodstuff. But we neglect. Whereas Ghana is taking advantage of all these things. Ghana is far away ahead of us. They are not doing anything. We can do cottage industry. We can do furniture and food processing. We can do sale of agricultural machinery. We can do animal breeding. And then, of course, when it comes to indirect investment in agriculture, we can do indirect investment in agriculture through some agri-tech that provides online platforms. Somebody has spoken about putting money in fixed deposit and all the rest at 5%. Some of these agri-tech companies pay up to 50%. And then, of course, I'm not recommending anything. And it must be, these are other areas we can look at. Then key success factor, because for us to invest in agriculture, either for employment or whatever, we have to be very careful. Knowledge. Get knowledge, get hands-on experience from existing farmers. Go to see what they do and how they are doing it, especially those of us who want to invest. Don't just put your money anyhow, and that is what I mean by Takbabashu away. If you lose your savings or whatever, that may even hasten the demise. May God forbid that. Hard work, beginning with detailed planning. You can't overplan. You must plan and plan. They say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You must plan. You must be hardworking. Stock up of everything. Start purchasing livestock young if you are going to livestock. Select good breed. Fidelity. I'm happy when she narrated the story that he walked into somewhere and they took him for what he is and they gave him some facility. How many of us would make good of that? We have to be faithful to our suppliers, even to our employees. Capital. We must look for capital. I will come to that shortly. Be careful while taking loan or borrowing to do farming, because most of the loans and finance sources available are quite high. The cheapest loan you can get is about 20, 25, and I don't see how you can invest and you can employ that to have a meaningful investment in agriculture. Do not be an absentee farmer. I will repeat that. Do not be an absentee farmer. If you are putting your money there, you'll always be there. I have to take today off because of this program, otherwise I'll be on the farm. Then how can we help ourselves? We need each other to make headway in modern world. For knowledge and training, you can join a trade group, even WhatsApp group. This will widen your contact and your horizon. No one is an island to himself or herself. For finance, we can do the following. We need to form, or we can form cooperative. In fact, we need to form cooperative. Yes, most of the cooperative societies in town have collapsed. They have been looted. That is the nature of the thing. And I would suggest to the organizers that we can form a cooperative at the diocesan level and ensure that those who will manage some cooperative are people of integrity, so that our members and our youth will have a ready-made asset to finance. If there is no finance, there cannot be investment. In Europe and America, if they should remove credit, the economy will collapse. It won't last 1 hour. So we need to create a sort of finance like cooperative for our people. Obtain financial assistance from CBN and BOA, Bank of Industry. These are institutional financial assistance. Beyond that, I don't encourage anybody to take bank loan. Look for grants. The thing is that we don't ask, we don't search, especially our youth. We are always doing Facebooking. Whereas there are grants available to youth to go into agriculture. Go and Google it, you will see it. Example is Farmer for Future, F for F, which is an agricultural entrepreneurship grant designed to support young people with viable agricultural business with equity-free capital and other associated support will be required to scale up. I've eaten too much. So, to conclude, I would like to conclude with another Bible passage. Ecclesiastes 11:6, which says, sow your seed in the morning, and in the evening let your hand not be idle, for you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that, whether both will equally do well. Thank you for listening.
Can we jam those hands together for our father, Mr. Abeokuta? Thank you so much for the insight and for the revelational knowledge in the agricultural sector. We are gradually moving to the end of the first part of the summit. I want to quickly announce to our distinguished guests that the ushers on black will be moving around. Ushers, please move around. If you have questions ranging through any of the sectors that we have been able to discuss, please put down your questions with the ushers, either male or female, and they'll bring it to us, all in view of managing time appropriately. Time management is also part of business, so please let's endeavor to signify, and we have slips or papers for us to put down our questions. Please permit me to quickly call on Mrs. Lola Wolabi to give a quick recap in Yoruba before we call on our father, the next speaker. Will be coming up shortly as we round up this first section. Mama Egba Yoruba and she. Sorry, Mama Egba is in the body. Mama, what do I call?
Thank you very much. Bàbá wa ti bá wa sọ̀rọ̀, ó dẹ̀ dá mi lójú pé eléyìí táwọn bá wa sọ tán ní sí eléyìí ilé la wà dáadáa. Nǹkan tí a ti mọ̀ ni wọ́n bá wa sọ nípa nǹkan ọ̀gbìn, nípa iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀. Wọ́n dẹ̀ dọ̀dọ̀dọ̀ ẹ̀ fún wa pé oríṣiríṣi àǹfààní ló wà nínú iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀. Ju bí a ti bóyá bá ti ń ṣe lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí gan, wọ́n ní ó nílò pé ká wá ìmọ̀ kún ìmọ̀, ká bá àwọn tó ti ṣe tó ti yan nídìí ẹ̀ tí wọ́n ti yanjú, wọ́n ní kí a bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀. Irú wọn náà ni bàbá wa tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ náà. Oore ọ̀fẹ́ dẹ̀ wà fún wa láti béèrè ìbéèrè lọ́wọ́ wọn lẹ́yìn tá a bá parí gbogbo ohun tí à ń ṣe lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n sọ oríṣiríṣi nǹkan ọ̀gbìn àti àwọn ẹranko tó lè kówó lé lórí tí wọ́n dẹ̀ lè máa mú owó wọlé fún wa. Wọ́n ní a tún lè ṣe gẹ́gẹ́ bí màmá wa oní ilẹ̀ àti ilé bí wọ́n ṣe sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan. Wọ́n ní a lè ṣe ẹgbẹ́ aláfọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ lórí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ yìí náà kí gbogbo wa jọ di olóríire. Wọ́n wá sọ nǹkan tí wọ́n sọ dáadáa tí wọ́n tún sọ. Wọ́n ní àwọn ò ní gba ìkọ̀kọ̀nù wa ní ìyànjú pé ká lọ yáwó lọ́wọ́ bàbá Ẹ̀gbá ní ká má ṣe gbọ́múlé láńtà lọ fi ṣiṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀. Wọ́n ní kódà àwọn ò ní gbà níyànjú fún wa pé ká lọ sí àwọn ilé ìfowópamọ́sí wa pé mo fẹ́ yáwó, mo fẹ́ fi ṣe iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀. Ṣé mọ̀ pé iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú agbára àgbẹ̀ àti bí Ọlọ́run ṣe máa fi àmì sí dáadáa. Àwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan dẹ̀ wà tó jẹ́ pé agbára ni àgbẹ̀ máa sà, kò ní ipá pátápátá lórí wọn. So wọ́n ní pé ó léwu. A nílò tí ò ní kò jẹ́ pé ìjọba gbé wọn kalẹ̀ fún irú nǹkan báyìí. Àgbẹ̀ fẹ́ yáwó ni, èèyàn tó ń ṣe okòwò pẹ́pẹ̀pẹ́ fẹ́ yáwó. Irú àwọn ọbẹ̀ yẹn ni a máa lọ, kì í ṣe pé a máa lọ sí àwọn báńkì tí à ń fowó pamọ́ sí. Gbogbo yẹn ká máa mẹ́kàn, wọ́n sì wà ní pẹ̀lú wa. Tó bá di àsìkò ìbéèrè, à lè béèrè gbogbo àwọn béèrè yẹn lọ́wọ́ wa wọ́n á dẹ̀ dá wa lò so ní wákàtí ẹ jẹ́ kí n jẹ́ ká mọ̀ pé àwọn ushers wa ṣe láwọn tí wọ́n wọ gown dúdú black yìí àti ọkùnrin àti obìnrin wọ́n lọ káàkiri láàrin wa wọ́n ní àwọn ìwé pélébé kan lọ́wọ́ tí a lè gbà lọ́wọ́ wọn ká fi kọ ìbéèrè wa sí ẹni tó bá ní ìbéèrè nínú wa ẹ jẹ́ ká kọ lọ́wọ́ sókè àwọn ushers yẹn wá bá wa kódà tí ẹ bá lè kọ fúnra yín ẹ ṣàsọ fún wọn wọ́n á kọ sílẹ̀ fún yín wọ́n á mú fún ẹni tó darí wa ní kí a lè rí ìdáhùn sí gbogbo ìbéèrè tó wà ní ọkàn wa ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
ẹ jẹ́ bá mi pàtẹ́wọ́ fún màmá Yorùbá tó wà láàrin wa ní àkókò yìí Yorùbá tí wọ́n dájú tèmi lọ ẹ jẹ́ ká pàtẹ́wọ́ yẹn dáadáa. Thank you very much, Mrs. Lola Omolabi. Yes, we are moving gradually to the end of the first section, and at this time I would want to call on Dr. Akimbile to please come forward to make the introduction of our next speaker, Mr. Dejishowe. Can we please appreciate him as he steps forward?
Thank you. My Lord, I want to also especially greet our Father, Abeokuta, Egba. My Lord, this is our organization, SDO's Foundation. At SDO's Foundation, we do just two things. We touch lives of the needy and we support God's work. Our benevolent supports cut across medical, educational, social, and spiritual. You'll find an illustration of our activities at the center page of the brochure. Today, we are here to do the spiritual. My Lord, let me quickly add that by December this year, we will be inviting you through Venerable Aloke for the dedication of the Venerable Jacob Olabode Farobi Memorial Anglican Church, Olosogbo Jere. And behind all this achievement is our parent organization and international conglomerate, the SDO's Limited. And at the helm of affairs of SDO's Limited is a young man, a true son of the Egba Anglican Diocese, a reputable son of Ijemo, a UNILAG-trained frontline economist, a financial guru, a chartered financial analyst, a certified management accountant, a Citibank FCMB UBA-trained banker par excellence, a glowing star in the oil and gas sector, a philanthropist, a man who enjoys revamping the life of the needy, and a man who derives affection in giving back to his society and to God his creator. My Lord, with your divine authority and permission, join me to welcome to the podium as he interacts with us on youth empowerment through entrepreneurship and effective business management, the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of SDO's Limited, Brother Matthew Oluwabori Oladeji Shomoye.
Can we please put those hands together, please? Can we just appreciate our Father?
it affords me great opportunity and the pleasure to be here. But before I make my presentation, I think I have to tender a sincere apology to Bishop Samuel. Okay. When I came, I got carried away with Uncle and I couldn't greet him. And he had to stand up to come and know we were not raised that way. I'm very sorry, sir. My pleasure meeting you. Thank you. I want to thank the missioner. I also call my Lord Bishop Ogudaisi. Ogudaisi probably will not know me. When we were growing up, he used to disturb him. But today is our Lord Bishop, and I want to thank our Lord Bishop and Mama Egba for organizing this event. You see, the challenge is we all complain about government, and till tomorrow we'll continue to complain about government. I recall when we were growing up, we were complaining about Babangida's administration. Until tomorrow, even 2023, when it comes, we will still continue to complain. So therefore, it places serious and heavy burden on the church to fill the gap because the nation was vacuum. And to me, it is very, very heartening that Egba Diocese is organizing this event. In some churches, when they are holding an anniversary like this, what you find most is the merriments and jollifications going on in the extensity. And nobody cares to look at the gap we are creating for our youngsters that are energetic and also idle. As they say, when the youths that are idle are awake because they are hungry, the rich cannot sleep because the youths that are energetic and strong are weak. And when things get tough, by nature, people run to the house of God. If government has failed the people, the youths, the youngsters, the church cannot afford to fail them. And that is why I think it is very, very important that this session is being organized. And I want to thank the missioner. I want to thank Mama Egba. I also want to thank the organizers for putting this event together. And most importantly, our project office for the foundation, SG Holdings, led by Dr. Akimile. When they invited me to come and discuss this topic on entrepreneurship, I thought I would be seeing the youngsters alone. My Lord Bishop and the project director didn't tell me that our living agent, the father of entrepreneurship himself, is sitting and is going to share this occasion, Chief Kofile. I always call him Kofile, and we never met in Abeokuta. The funny thing, the first time I met him was in Lagos. And then I was in Bambi. One of my regional directors came to my office and said, "Sir, I want you to follow me to this company." And we've been trying. I said, "Where?" He said, "To us." I said, "Oh my God." But how much pressure? So I followed the young lady, Dora. And when we got there, I saw Kofile. I didn't know him. But one thing that I received first and foremost was what I call epitome of humility. He received us well, in spite of his achievements and what he has done in the manufacturing sector. He was so humble. I look at the man, I look at the office, and I will tell you today, that spirit of entrepreneurship, I got it from your office. And I asked myself when we left after that meeting, that if this man put this thing together, he doesn't have to wait. And I don't think he will be able to even pass the aptitude test I passed the Citibank. Then I should be able to do this. But I didn't know that I was actually talking to my uncle. So when we finished the meeting, I could sense that intonation of Egba occasionally. I now asked him, I said, are you from Abeokuta? He said, yes. I said, which side of Abeokuta? Because I'm from Abeokuta, I'm from Ijebu. He said, you are my brother, I'm from Ijebu too. And that is how we met. We never met in Lagos. In Abeokuta, we met in Lagos when I was in banking. That was like around 2010. But it's my pleasure meeting you once again, Ogo. And I want to thank you so much. The last time that we did the commissioning of our project at AIT Primary School, you didn't show up, and I wasn't happy. And I said I will see you today, because I would love you to be there to praise the occasion. When we see people like you inspire us, you let us and direct and drive the way for us. We would like to continue to see you, and God will continue to give you strength, energy, and good health. Today I will be discussing about entrepreneurship and effective business management. And I know there was a touch nearly all. I'm not going to say any new thing, but I'm going to share with you our experience in SU Holdings. And I would like our youth to listen very well. It's a circumstance must not be a barrier. We all have, and I can tell you, we share this same background. We all understand what our background is here. This is another very rosy. And as a matter of fact, from where we came from, sometimes food can also be difficult. I used to share this with our friends, that we used to eat rice 4 times in a year. And that is the truth. And I know today you guys eat rice anyhow. During that period, harvest, Easter, Christmas, and probably maybe New Year. But we never allowed that circumstance to hold us. And I recall very well, the demo paraded the golden generation during that period, because all of us went to Ivy League schools. Today, we have some of us in the medical field. We have not less than 2 or 3 PhD holders. We have lots of us in finance and also. So for me, it is something that was like a healthy competition when we were growing up. And also credit goes to Dr. Akibili, who groomed us. He was the first person that would tell us, oh, we go and do A-levels. Oh, you need to go. We'll go to his house. He taught me how to eat Egba with peas. That was the first time I would see that kind of crazy combination. There was no soup, and we needed to eat. We had curry, but no soup. So what we will do is we go and buy peas, and that oil on top of that peas is the one we'll be soaking our Egba with. And we were all enjoying it. We enjoyed it, and it didn't kill us. But today we perform whatever that we want to. So I'm laying this background for many people that believe, oh, because of the circumstance. You cannot be poorer than the man speaking here today. And that is the truth. But we never allowed that to slow us down. We went to best schools, and we led, and we were top of the class. And we never, at any point in time, allowed our background to affect us. And that is the message I want to pass to you today. Today, I want you to look at me the same way you are looking at yourself. And that's the same way I was looking at myself several years ago when I was growing up. You know, I'm going to be poor. You also have the poorer and poorest. So therefore, if I can achieve a little we've done, the special grace of God and His mercy and His grace, which I think is also available to every one of us here, I tell you, we can do it. My discussion of my session today is principally going to the youth, the youngsters, and we're also going to, at the closing of it, look at what we can do to support your initiatives. Today, we'll be looking at entrepreneurship. And when I say entrepreneurship, I can't discuss it as such better than the way Dr. Philip will discuss it. And I will just, the part 1 is not that it's like a theoretical background. I'm not going to spend so much time. But I will spend some time, and I think the organizer should allow me on part 2, which is the case study of SG Holdings. So you can see how we built a company with no capital to the balance size of close to 60 billion naira today. The first, I was like, how do you start a business? And in starting a business, which I know this is the elementary definition of entrepreneurship. You are starting a business. I want to start a business. If you ask somebody, I want to work for myself. I want to work for myself. I don't want to work for anybody anymore. Sometimes he may even be in a level employment. He says, I don't want to work for anybody again. Then it depends what type of entrepreneurship we are looking at. Is it small? Is it medium or large operations? And in this class, we'll focus on SMEs because SMEs is what I think will relevant to our discussion today. But entrepreneurship is a continuum, it's a long voyage. If you ask your Kuvile today at home, you will tell you it's not going to be a bed of roses. You are going to be in the cold. You are going to be alone. But as our uncle said, and he said in Yoruba, Ishere Omalashide, Ore Omalashila. And I'll share this with you. As a group general manager in UB, my total annual pay was 77 million naira. I was a big boy. Because what do I need? I have 2 cars, I have already accommodation, and I earn this annually. I was a big boy. It was enough for me to stay in banking and grow to the level of a CEO. But I said, no, let me try entrepreneurship. But that amount is amount I will make in a few days today. That is entrepreneurship. Because it involves a lot of mental thinking. It involves a lot of stressing yourself. You are alone. But the reward is also great if you do it right. And that is what we want to discuss today. Now, when you look at the reason why people go into entrepreneurship, some people say, oh, I just want to create value, I want to solve problems. To some, I want to transit and test the waters. Meaning he's already in employment, but he's trying to start to test the waters, want to see what he can do. Some will tell you, I want to make money. They are frank, they don't hide it, they so sharp frankness. They want to tell you how it is, they don't pretend. I want to make money. Some will tell you, oh, the insult I'm getting from this job is too much. I want to start my own business. But how you enter into the field of entrepreneurship also determines how well you will end. Because if your focus is, because somebody is insulting you, you want to be your own boss, without proper preparation, it's going to be a disaster. If the interest that just want to have something to be doing, the focus should be, you want to create value, you want to solve problems. You have seen things that are probably not being attended to, and you want to set up a structure that will take you to that level, and that is where you can make it. And we'll see how it goes. Now, you must have a business idea, and I'm sure they must have discussed it. You don't go into entrepreneurship without a business idea. You don't just enter into the lagoon without knowing how deep it is. You must have that idea. What is the idea and bring it to the table? You validate that idea by asking one or two people. How do you think this thing that I'm looking at, this thing that I'm discussing, I'm trying to do it, what do you think? Then you start looking at name. And I recall very well when we were setting up one of our subsidiaries, Stellar Nigeria, and one guy asked me at the training school, he said, oh, how do you come about the name? Because the name you give your company matters. Some people don't give any name. No, even in Yoruba, the name you give to your son or your daughter tells also sometimes how he will do in his or her life. I told them, Stellar here. He said, how? can transform it to create money for us, we must have energy. The way you have stallions now, you all know stallions, horse or whatever they call it. But name is there. That is money. That is why you have stallion name. So when you are creating your business name, I want you to think very deep and see something that will also guide you. Stallion is one of our businesses. When Stallion brings a cargo to this country, 30,000 metric tons, in a month, is 7 billion naira. So the name speaks for itself. One transaction in a month, 30,000 metric tons of PMS that they bring in, the total value of it is not less than 7 billion. It is one of our businesses because we have a tank farm which we invested in. I'm sure you can see in the brochure there. So the tank farm, they bring the product there and they run and sell it. That is where you see the product coming from the tanks down to stations and of PMS. An important plan. What do you want to do? You will tell me, go and give me your business plan. That ends it. I said the business plan is the rocket science. What is the business plan that you can give? They won't care. Business ideas are black. And it is not any rocket science, trust me. And that is why I will take time to explain it. You must understand the business finance. Like an uncle said, when uncle was talking about agriculture, and he nailed it straight. That you can't take commercial banks loan to fund agriculture. In a state society, it's development fund that you use for social funding. Because you can't take a loan at about 25%, which is interest per annum, and probably 1% flat. 1% flat is about 12% per annum when you recompute it. If you have 25 plus 12, we'll give you almost about 37%. So what business do you want to do in agriculture? So the business is going to fail. It's going to fail. So the finance is very key because you must know what you're going into, what the source of funding is, and also for accounting purposes also. So when you're going into any business, the type of business you're going into will also determine the type of funding that you are looking for. Then you look at the business structure. This is very key because this is where you start looking at registration, permits, opening your bank account, and you put structure in place. If you have a business that you don't have proper structure, the business will collapse soon. Structures are like the pillars that you put in the house. No matter how small your business is, you must put in just call it a structure, a resemblance of it. Most businesses that you have at the sole proprietorship level, they collapse because you don't have proper structure. And I'll explain it as I go. Then you have to develop the customers, the products. What products are we going to be doing? Who are the customers? Who are we going to be serving? Are they going to be poor people? Are they going to be rich people? If you have rich people as your customers, that business will survive if you manage it well. You have to segment that customers, which business are going to be doing. But if your customers are going to be poor people, they have to be many for the business to do well. With the 5 poor people, what would they give you? Business won't last. That is the truth. I'm not going to come here today and deceive you. I'll tell you the business is wrong. This is a social practice and real moment of candor. If you are going to service rich class, you can have a few meet all their needs. I can tell you the business will do well if you manage it well. But it's going to be general masses, people that you have to do for many. And that is why you see some banks, when they say they go into retail banking, and I think this is my own, because I saw that it's also one of the credit raters close to. When you look at the cost-income ratio of a retail bank, it's as close as 80%. Because the cost of running those branches are heavy. a bank like Citibank, the cost income ratio is about 30%. I remember very well, if your cost income ratio was above 30%, somebody in London is looking for your head. Cost income ratio means what you spend from what you generated. If we say cost income ratio is 30%, meaning that when you generate 100 naira, 30 naira is what you spent. But if we say it's 80%, means that you have spent 80% from that 100. The remaining won't be enough to take care of other costs. And you start running into crisis. So you have to define the customer base. Which customers are serving? Which customers I'm going to focus my products on? It is key, and it will be in that business plan. Then you look for your tools, the PCs, the laptops, office that you need to put in, the softwares. If you are not going to have softwares, you use Excel. You have to get a guy that knows how to use Excel as a startup business. Then you have to assemble the team. You can't work alone. You will need at least one person to work with you. Let that person be a good person. I tell you, I can manage anything, but I can't manage my resources. It's not possible. If you don't meet our requirements for recruitment, you can't come in. We don't take below 2-1. And as a matter of fact, even 2-1, we have the CVs that we won't even touch. Because I need to first and foremost eliminate many people. And I use your class and degree to do the elimination. My colleagues will tell you, even NYSC sent to us by government, you go through aptitude test first. And I know that aptitude test you can score 60%. So if it's got below 40, we won't talk to you. Why? Because in that company today, we don't have at all, we have not less than 18 first-class guys. And how many of us? The reason is, you have to get the best to get people that will be productive and can deliver value. And you will see when I take you through SEO, this case study. It's a simple model. You can manage pieces that is not working well, but you cannot manage quality people. Get the right person. Oh, it's my brother, let him join me. Maybe as you're starting. But as you begin to have money, eliminate him. Get the best. Because that business is your pot of soup. And when that business fails, you are the only one that will face that. That your brother will leave. You will even go back to tell them that don't mind my uncle. That business will have been so happy today, but you know he was carrying women. Whereas you kept him because you wanted to be good to him. No. There are certain things you shouldn't compromise. The quality of people that work with you. It is important, and I will also re-emphasize this when we get to the case study. I'm just going to build what I call the theoretical framework so that we can quickly move to the real world. Then you can protect your business. If you've seen that the business has started doing well, you can protect it. There are legal protection for you. Now, I want to quickly just give you an helicopter view. Some businesses that I think we can do in this locality. Sometimes, some businesses we look at and we say, hey, there are businesses that are spending money for some people. It depends on whether you package it well or you don't packages. Today, if you are in gainful employment and you are doing well, you need to begin to transit. You need to begin to plan to transit. Because it is a divider that you must cross at one time or the other. When I was in banking, I used to tell my colleagues, I said, you know, we have to cross this divider. It is better we cross this divide. But we still have energy. Instead of using this energy to work for Tony and die here. Because once you clock 55, you can't walk the way you walk when you are below 55. energy, you have to reserve it for yourself. You have to ensure, because running an entrepreneurial business is one of the most complex and the most difficult things I've seen. And I can tell you, and if you sit down with Onikolobo, he will tell you many a times, while everybody has gone to bed, he's talking to either his CFO or he's alone in his room, looking at loans that will fall due soon, and where will the revenue comes from. It is not a tea party running a successful business. I can tell you that for sure, just within 8 years that I've been in business. In employment, if for example, Mr. Shepherd here is my CEO, the box stops at his desk. My own is just to do my job, I go home. By the time the month ends, he has his obligation to pay me, whether I've worked or I have not worked. When the banks start coming, I don't care as an employee. I direct them to his office. It is a tough game to run entrepreneurial business successfully, especially in Nigeria. So when I list out these businesses, and you come and say, "Help me, K." No. You can come up with other ideas and let's look at it. But if you want to run it successfully, you've got to roll up your sleeves. You've got to roll up your sleeves. It's not about sitting down doing an armchair business. No. I listed customized hats, face caps, t-shirts, posters, and greeting cards. This business, some people make so much money out of it. It only depends on whether you want to apply yourself into it, especially if you have your passion around it. There are some events, playing football game, doing this, you print it and you put the customized ones. You can make good money. I've seen people that are also very
So in 30 minutes, handle questions and go out for lunch.
A round of applause for our diocesan. Dear Father in God, thank you very much. This is a very wonderful program, and we cannot just thank you enough, Baba, for this opportunity given to us, and especially the youth of the church, because we will certainly get there. So much has been said, so much has been learned, so much has been thought, and especially from all our resource persons and our speakers. We appreciate you sincerely. Now, before we go for the exhibition, we're going to be taking these questions, and I'm just going to be reading them while our presenters and resource persons as well will respond. So you're going to be taking that all together. Meanwhile, please, if you are here to drop your email ID, please kindly do that at the registration point outside. Drop your email ID so that soft copies of these presentations could be sent in there. God bless you real good. Can you say a loud amen? All right. On oil and gas, these questions go to Chief Shino Louis. Sir, looking at the aspect of a young graduate, please permit me the language and use of words. I'm just going to be quoting them verbatim, please. Looking at the aspect of a young graduate who just recently finished okay. Please, there's going to be a change of plans as the facilitators would prefer to read the questions themselves and just answer. I think that will save us much of our time. Please, a round of applause for them. May I please invite Chief Shino Louis to go first. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, good afternoon. Before answering the questions, let me quickly make the closing remarks on my part. My Lord Bishop, Egba Fuwasa, Mama Egba, Ekuwa Jepe, Aja Ijamole Yeku, Koko Nijawa Leyi. We appreciate you and we appreciate all the resource persons today. But most especially, I want to thank you, the listeners. And I must tell you, attending many events, this is the most discipline I have ever seen. People listening patiently, since morning with rapt attention. And I want to tell you, Anglican cares for you. The motive, the philosophy behind this is not just for you to make money, but for you to create wealth. The wealth that can sustain you, the wealth that can enable you give back to the church and society. Because money is not useful on its own, except for the purpose, for the value that money creates. You can have $1 billion in the house, but you don't do anything with it. It's as good as just ordinary stand. But to give back to society, like my brother is doing, like some of us are doing, giving back to society, remembering Anglican, that Anglican Church stands for you. And my Lord Bishop, as I came this morning, something just came to my mind. If you look at Redeemed Church movie, is it a missionary or a religious center? What is it? It's a real estate. What goes on there is not the church. 10% of it is the church. Majority part of it is investment in real estate. And Redeemed is making money here. Here in Abeokuta, this premises, we are standing on a gold mine. Abeokuta lacks recreation center. Why can't we have a water park here? Why can't we have a recreation center here that can build money? Why can't we have an hotel here? My Lord Bishop, the Lord will help you, sir. Now, 3 questions I have. Looking at the aspect of young graduates who just recently finished from university and is interested in venturing in oil and gas, is there any incentive grants applicable for him? No. You know why? Like I told you, investing in oil and gas is not one day. My brother, an investment banker of international repute, did not get there in a day. The tendency for you to say, I want to do this business. But you have to start, look at, first of all, your competencies, your abilities. What do you have? What resources do you have to go into that business? You just graduated, you want to go into, but you can start your work with the mindset of becoming whom you want to be. When I was working in elementary as the chief accountant in vehicle manufacturing plant, my salary was 7,000 naira per month. And that time, it is a big guy to start earning thousands. But all of a sudden, I got a job in Shell, just doing interview, writing exams, and from 3,000 and 7,000 naira, my salary became 350,000 naira. Hello? Yes, 1 month. 1993. That is what happened. 350,000 naira then in 1993 is talking about over 25 million naira now per month. But I told myself, I am not going to work in this committee till I retire. That by 45, I was going to retire. When I got to managerial level, some of my colleagues want to be directors. I want to be an entrepreneur. And that made me to plan my life where you want to be. So young graduates listening to me, yes, you can become an entrepreneur in the oil and gas industry or wherever you choose to be. But you have to carefully plan it. Like Brother Edo spoke to us. You have to start planning in savings and harnessing yourself and looking at the competencies you want to acquire that will enable you to be able to function where you plan to be. The journey of 1,000 years starts in a day. Second question, do you earn as much profits on your gas? Since gas prices or cylinder price goes from 3,000 to 9,000 naira. No. Problems is when prices go up. In fact, the person that suffers from it is the seller in the market. Because price goes up means that your input cost has gone up. And it is not easy most times to pass all the costs to the consumers. If I'm selling today at 3,000 and the price goes to, and my input cost is 2,800, and the price goes to 5,000 tomorrow, it's difficult for me to pass all the costs back to the consumers. I'll probably, instead of making 200, I'll probably be making 150. This is mean that once price goes up, demand goes down. And I need to be able to sell more, to be able to get the quantum of margin that will break even for me. And what do you call break even point? That when I look at all my overheads and I'm looking at my margin per unit that I sell, that gives me my break even point in volume. So when price goes up, demand goes down, I need to reduce my margin to be able to make the same amount of money that I am making before. So, like I tell you, question 1 that I have answered, you need to start business and earn yourself knowledge that can be able to make you navigate through these murky waters of business. The third question is, why is gas price going up and down? I'm happy you said up and down. Price of gas goes up and down because of many modulators, including international price of crude oil, including increased demand for gas during winter, or including the problem between Ukraine and Russia, that Russia cannot supply some markets in Europe as part of bargaining power for Russia to gain control and to moderate Europe intervention in the war between Ukraine and Russia. Therefore, they are not supplying many markets. But many vessels are now coming to Nigeria to take the gas. So the seller too is in business for money. And of course, the demand for Nigerian gas is higher than the supply that is available. This is the problem we also have in Niger Delta, aged equipment, and many other factors. And the last question, plant owners are making business difficult for retailers because plant owners sells 3 kg, 5 kg, and 6 kg. Like I told you before, the first thing in business is location. Second is location, third is location. If you are located there, it's not everybody that can go to plant owners to buy gas. If you are living at Onikolobo, can you go to Maichu or Kenta to go and buy 3 kg? No, it's not possible. So you must look for your neighbor that is closer to you to buy the 3 kg. Why the dealer goes to Onikolobo, Panchete, Ibarra, anywhere to buy in big quantity and retail for you. But however, what we notice is that some retailers also profiteer. Because it is Saturday or Sunday, my retailers are not open. The 3 kg you sell normally for 1,000. You decide to sell it for 3,000 naira. Hello? That is what happens. Sometimes. Or a friend came to Abeokuta, he wanted 12 kg gas, and he didn't want to come in the night. He went to the shop close to him, and they told him a 12.5 kg costs 21,000. Meanwhile, we are selling that gas for 9,000. So the first time the guy buys from you and he doesn't come back again, you then play gas plant owners. I want to thank you all once again, and I believe from all of us, the principles are the same. Knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. Don't go into business that you don't have very sound knowledge about. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Chief Shinaloyi. I know the Diocesan has appreciated you so well. We equally say thank you very much. Now, please join me to welcome ESB Roke Odunaya to respond to our own questions. Thank you.
Hello, Bishop. Mama Egba, I appreciate you once again. Actually, like nowhere you talk about real estate or property development and you not be expecting questions. Torí pé tí wọ́n bá sọ pé kí ni ó ń jáwọ́ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí, properties, investments, real estate. Because of our time, let's go through the questions. First question says, can you give us insight of available and affordable land within your agency for purchase? There is no land that is not available, that is not affordable. Depends on your pocket. Your pocket will determine the affordability. It's your pocket that will determine the affordability of a land. Within Abeokuta, we have a land of 5 million, 10 million. Outskirts Abeokuta, we have about 7 million, 700,000, 1 million. That's outskirts Abeokuta. But within Abeokuta, we want to get any land within our own scheme, the 50,000 corporation scheme. At least we'll be able to have about 4 million upward. I think that answered that question. The other question says, is there any regulation by the government to regulate the prices property can be sold in various locations, or I can just sell out any price of my choice? You know, I told you, real estate appreciates in value. And the location is one of the major important things. Even the so-called government itself, we put location as